Hello and welcome to my channel, Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is November the 10th, 2022. And I want to say a big hello and welcome back to all of my followers, and a particularly warm welcome to all my new followers. And if there are people out there who have viewed my videos, because I know a couple weeks ago there were 2,000 more, 2,100 people that viewed one of my videos. And if you're one of those people, I really hope that you enjoyed what you saw and that you come back to see more. And please hit that subscribe button. And for those of you that have subscribed, I really appreciate it. And I hope you give my videos a thumbs up and that you make a comment. I really appreciate the comments. I've been getting a few more comments lately, probably because my number of subscribers jumped up. And I do respond to every one of those comments. And I appreciate hearing what you have to say. I am coming from southwestern Ontario, just an hour from the Canadian-US border. And we have had a beautiful week this past week. The weather was really with us. It was like Indian summer at the beginning of November. So I was able to get out last week. Wednesday, I believe it was. I got out and finished up almost all of my yard work. And I'm going to put a picture in here. That's why I'm sitting over. I'm going to be putting a lot of pictures. This is a picture, I've mentioned it several times, of what my shed looks like when I get all those pots put in the shed. And I'm certain that there are close to 100 pots that go in the shed. These are all hostas that have to be overwintered in the shed, because if they're not in the ground, you can't leave them out in the wintertime. So those all got placed carefully in the shed last Wednesday. And then I had to go out and do a little finish work on Saturday. But what a glorious day it was. I heard that it went up to about 21 degrees Celsius, which is right around 70, 72 degrees in Fahrenheit. So you can, and a beautiful sunny day. Unfortunately, the winds were very high. But it was so nice to have such nice weather. This is the earliest I've ever been able to prepare my yards for the winter. Usually I have to do it about mid-November when it's cold and dreary, sometimes wet. So it was just lovely to get that work done, and now we can snuggle in for the winter. So I have a lot to cover, and as I mentioned, I'm sitting over because there will be a lot of pictures to be putting up here as we go. And I think what I'm going to do, because I promised it for a couple of weeks, is I am going to do a bit of a what I call slideshow or whatever, having to do with my Facebook page. For those that are new or didn't hear, you missed me saying, I have a Facebook business page, and that is where I put all of my finished objects when I am done to hopefully sell them. I know a lot of people have an Etsy store, and I've never had an Etsy store, but I get the feeling it works an awful lot like eBay, and I was very involved in eBay back in the early 2000s, and I know how those policies changed, and I hear Etsy's always changing, and I just did not want to get into that. So I have made a Facebook business page where I put everything, hopefully to sell. I don't really sell much off that page. Excuse me. I think I'll take a drink. But I often do put listings in the Facebook marketplace, and I have sold some things there. But when I mentioned that I have a link to my Facebook page, there were viewers that told me they do not have Facebook, but they still would like to see some of it. Now, I will not ever be able to show you absolutely everything that's there. And I did say that if in my showing you my finished objects, you see something that appeals to you, feel free to comment below the video or send me an email. And I can always show you better pictures and discuss it with you. But I did say I would show a little bit of what is on my Facebook business page, so that if you were interested in anything, you could let me know. So this is going to be a bit of an intro to how to find things on my Facebook page, because I don't think people really do it in a way that's easy to find what they want. And then I will show you some of the items. So we're going to start with, this is a picture of my Facebook business page. And you can see it has my Canadian flag with the cat, and it has my little emblem in the center of the page, and it's called Judy's Creations. I created that before I ever started YouTube, and that's why I kept the Judy's Creations in my YouTube channel and decided to tack on in crochet so that YouTube world would know what I was doing. Now, in that picture at the bottom, and I circled it for you, it says photos. And that is the best way to find something. You click on that photos button. When you click it on, you will get this page. The next screen shows a lot of pictures. And you know, you could scroll through the first page or this page and look at all the pictures and get lost. But I have organized things. That's me. I organize things. And you will see, and I circled it again, it says see all. And when you click on see all, you then get this page. And this page, you have to scroll down a bit to see them all. But this gives you the direct link to various albums. So I have an album for ponchos, an album for cocoons, an album for scarves and hats and cowls, and I have one called Luxury. And the Luxury album has all of the things that I make with hand-dyed yarn or the gradient cakes. You know, from being involved in crochet or knitting or in the yarn community, that hand-dyed yarns are more expensive than what you buy in the big box stores. So that's why I've called them luxury items, because they're made with better yarns. I guess it's a matter of opinion if they're better, but I mean, they're a higher quality, they're a more expensive yarn to buy, and obviously they are more costly in my selling them. So if you click on one of the albums, and I believe I clicked on ponchos, it'll open up to all my ponchos. And in that poncho area, you will find outdoor type ponchos that you wear mostly in the spring and fall. I don't think any of mine are heavy enough for the winter. But you will also find some of my ponchos that are made in cottons and can be worn in the summer, or you could wear them all year as an indoor item to wear. Just put it over a tank top or a turtleneck, whatever you prefer, and wear it as your outfit indoors. And that's how you will find my items. Now, one last thing to tell you, when you open up, say, the ponchos, as I did, and I show you a bunch of ponchos, if you click on a picture, this has changed over time and I do have to update it, but if you click on a picture, it's supposed to open it up and it's supposed to have the price and fiber content written on the item. And then if I have, say, 2 or 3 views of an item, like often with shawls, I'll show the front and then I'll show it the back, and sometimes I'll even show the whole thing laying on the floor. Well, if you go to the comments, you will see other views of it. And I usually say see comments if there are more views. So that's how you can see what I have in my Facebook page for those of you that do have Facebook. Now, for those few that do not have Facebook, I promised that I would show some of the items. So today what I'm going to show you my ponchos, and I'm going to show you a few cocoons. I don't have a lot of cocoons. Now, I need to refer down here to the pictures so that I know what I'm talking about in each picture. There are several, starting with ponchos. This first picture, you'll see a green X on number 1. I numbered them. People asked me to number them. The first one I sold on the marketplace just a week or so ago. Number 2, the one that's in the middle in the back, that's a poncho made out of Scarfie. I don't know what all of them are made out of, but I remember a lot of them. That's made out of a Scarfie. And number 3 is made out of a comfy cotton. Going to the next group, number 4. Now that is made with a gradient cake, kind of pale pastel colors, but I put with it one thread. If you remember me showing you this last week, I did it in Kiki's dress. I put in one thread like this that is like a mohair, and I put that as a second strand with the gradient cake that was probably a cotton or cotton acrylic. It gave it a little more body, a little more warmth. So that's number 4. Number 5 in the middle are 2 different balls or cakes of latte cake. And number 6 is something called Winter Glow. I had it on the table here. Hang on and I can show you, because this was left over, and here's the ball that I used for number 6 for that poncho, and as I said, I had leftover. Going on to the next picture, number 7 is, I'm pretty sure it's mandala, and it's 2 panels that are attached and then some buttons at the side, and that pattern is the Which Way Filet. It's a fiber spider pattern. So it's a little different style, and I'm pretty sure it's a mandala. Number 9 or 8 is crossed out. That was a ruana. And number 9 is a little smaller poncho, and I'm trying to remember what I made that out of. I don't know if I made that out of a Momenti from Premier. Not real sure on that one. Number 10 is one of the ones I showed you in the summer where I made 2 shawls and just attached at the top. So it's 2 shawls made with date night, and it would be more for like going out. Yeah, it has a lot of sparkles in it. Date night is sparkly, so it's a party type. Number 11, very open weave made with a I think that's made with Flicka, and it would be very lightweight for the summer or to wear over something as an outfit. Now number 12, I did show that, oh, I'm sure it was almost a year ago. That is one of those Stenley cakes, and it Stenley cone, quite tall, black, and it had a multicolored sparkle running through it. You can see the sparkle in that picture, but again, it's a very lightweight and would be very pretty to wear, you know, out to a party, but also just to wear over something that's going out for dinner. And I think this is the end of them. The last 3, and the one in the middle crossed out, I sold that just recently. The one number 13, I guess it is, it's red and gray. It is made with a cotton acrylic cake, one of those. It's not a twister cake, but it's something like the cake. It might be yarn art, or it might be Etrofil. They all have the same kind of gradient cakes. And the last one, number 15, that is a Shapies whirlette, woolly whirl. They call it woolly whirl. So it's a little heavier than the cotton cakes because it has wool in it. Feels very, very nice. Again, I probably wouldn't wear it for warmth outside, but it would be lovely to wear in the fall, as it is there over a turtleneck with as part of your outfit. So those are the ponchos that I have said I would share with you for those that want to see some of what I have and didn't see them when I did show them last fall probably, or maybe it was last winter, and aren't able to get on my Facebook page. Now, continuing on very quickly, because I don't have as many, are the cocoons. So here's the first cocoon. And it probably looks to you like it's the one I'm wearing, but it isn't. I have it sitting here, and you can see how the picture I'm showing here isn't quite the same color, but this is very soft. It has sparkles in it, and I'm trying to read. I know the yarn, but it doesn't come to me what it is. And it's a different color, as you see, than the one I am wearing. This has got more of a pinky tone to it. The one I am wearing, this is my what are you wearing object, is also a cocoon. See the seams here? And this is a Scarfie. I love Scarfie. If I ever had to come up with my top 10, Scarfie would be in the top 10. Then continuing on, this is another cocoon, and it is made out of latte cake. Probably Earl Grey, but one of the very neutral ones. I had another one, and I sold it. And finally, we have this Ruana. And I believe it was made out of an ice yarn, but they have this exact same yarn at Hobie, and I think they call it Colorina because I think I used yarn from both companies to finish this. So that very quickly goes through the items on my Facebook page you were wanting to see. I showed you my loveys. I only have 5. I showed you those last week. I'm going to be showing you a lot of winter scarves, scarf hat sets, cowls, that wintry things in the next few weeks. They are on my Facebook page, but they are also things I haven't actually shown here as my finished object. So I'm going to try and show those throughout the remainder of the year. So that's a little bit of a look at what you could find on my Facebook page. Now, to continue on, I'd already talked about what I am wearing. It is a cocoon, very straightforward double crochets. That's all. A lot of them I make double crochets. I don't do fancy stitches on them because I don't think that's why people are getting them. They want them for the colors and for warmth. Oh, by the way, I also have, I'm not big on pocket shawls, but I do have 3 pocket shawls, and I'll show those to you next week. So anyway, here's a finished object, but I'm sure I showed it to you in the past somewhere. So I have, first of all, one other finished object to show you. Last week it was my whip. This week it is my finished object. I was working on this shawl, and I'll show you the back. And there is no pattern. I started out following a pattern and got about this far and thought I really couldn't be bothered with anything complicated. So I just decided to more or less continue on. You get solids, you get open, skip a stitch. That's the same thing. I just put a solid between the skip a stitches, several solids, then skip a stitch 2 in a row. I just kept doing that as I went. Fairly mindless, easy to do, partly because I have to be very honest with you. It's a good size. I used 1 cake of Caron Cloud Cake. I showed this to you last week. And from the cake, I have this much left over. Maybe I could have done 1 more row. I was ready to put it aside. Cloud cake is one of the softest things. I love it, the feel of it. This is going to be very, very comfortable. This is going in our box to the seniors residence I've talked about. And if you want to know more about Caron Cloud Cakes, it is, I'm pretty sure, 100% polyester. And it has, I think it's 760 yards. And I used, I believe this is a number 5 or a 5.5. 5.5. I used a 5.5 millimeter hook. One of my favorite colors. See, you can see through it here. Beautiful, beautiful hook. And it feels really, really nice. Almost as nice as latte. But I have to tell you, I really didn't enjoy working with it. It's thin, although they call it a number 4. And honestly, I don't think it's as heavy as a number 4. A 3 maybe. It looks thinner to me than it does there. You know, this is very much like a thin version of, say, chenille, or almost, you know how when you're working with velvet, the Bernat velvet, there are a lot of people out there that complain about it because after you get it all made, and you sit back and look at your item, there's all these loops that come free. And chenille is similar to that, and this feels like the chenille. It just did not feel like, for a 4-weight, it didn't feel very sturdy. Now, when I'm all done, it is a nice shawl, and it's very, very soft. Somebody's going to enjoy wearing it. But after my experience with this, I have a few more, and I'm not going to rush to make more with the cloud cake. I have the purple ones I showed you to make myself a cocoon cardigan, which I will make, but I think I'll do it with a smaller hook to make it a little tighter, because I really was not happy with the way it was working up. So anyway, that's my finished object for this week. And of course, I also finished working on my game shawl. So we'll pull out our papers, and I'll show you what it looks like now, up to date. Whoops, there goes the hook. So again, I'm using a 3.5 millimeter hook, and these are the 3 sections I added this past week. This section was very open. It was new to me. Then this section is the section that I had also done in before in the dark, and it had the bumpies on it. And then this section, it was the same as the gray back here with the open work. It had a different cluster stitch. It's an easy stitch. It's really only a 12-row repeat rather than 16 like the others. So this is how the colors are looking so far. I have one part that bothers me, and that is, let's get this untangled. And that is how this one section bowed out. I don't know why. It didn't happen in any other sections. Now this one tends to, because it's so open, it tends to go in, but I know that when I block it, it'll go straight. So I'm hoping I can block this, pull it enough that that's not so bowed, because I don't know how that happened. See that? How it bows? But anyway, this is how it's looking so far. Now, it's starting to get wider and it's taking longer. It's going to take even longer for the next. So I'm going to, we've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 sections. And my thinking is that there are only 8 or 10 more sections. So I'm going to drop back to doing 2 sections next week. Because I do want to do this. I think we have 6 more weeks of working on this, and at 2 a week, although the last few I'll only do 1 a week. I think we'll be beyond. So the next step, that's another thing I got done. That took me 1 whole day. We need to get out the dice again, and we need to roll the numbers for next week. And I hope we get that one we haven't used yet. And I'm going to roll it on this iPad. Okay, so here we go. And that's my fear with this little thing. Okay, so where's my pen? In the color, it's number 2. Number 2 for this week. And what is color 2? 2 is back to this color. So that's going to follow this multicolor, is this color. And the pattern is number 1. And I know that number 1 is just the straight stitch that I used at the very beginning. So that'll be easy. So what comes next? I got to get something bigger for next week to roll onto so they're not rolling off. And I got 1 and 1. I got snake eyes, 1 and 1. So color number 1, I don't know that we have done color number 1, have we? No, that's 5. 3, 4, 5, 6. Color number 1 is this again. We do have a habit of going back and forth. So I'm going to be doing this color, then this color, and both of them are going to be just plain solid, which I'm kind of glad of because I do have the basic pattern in my head and it is very straightforward. You know, we haven't gotten any color number 5 yet. I really want to get some of that color going. Maybe I should have somebody else rolling these dice. But anyway, so 1 and 1. All right. So that'll be a little easier week for me. And I want to put the dice back in the envelope in the bag, and I've lost the bag. Where is the bag? Oh, there's the bag. Alrighty, so that's what I'll be working on this coming week. I'll put the hook in there too. I'll be working on the next 2 sections of that scarf. So I happen to know that one person has bought the kit and she's going to do her own thing when she's done, and I've asked her to send me a picture. And I happen to know, I think there are maybe 2 other people that are using their stash. And I'm not sure if they're following each week the numbers that I roll. But if you are one of those people and you need me to tell you the numbers again, feel free to contact me. I've been writing it down, so I do have it recorded. So if you need help, I can do that with you. Anybody else that wants to join in, there's still plenty of time because you can work on more than 2 sections in a week. That little bit, you would be able to catch up at any point. So now I'm going to put this. Oh, and by the way, last week I did put a link, and I'm trying to remember to do it again this week. I did put a link to this pattern. It's actually on her website. She has a website where she sells this, and it takes you right to that pattern. So that will put that out of the way for now. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, I think I'm only going to show you one acquisition because, well, I have another acquisition I'm sort of going to show you, but not completely. I'm going to put a picture up here of a pattern that I want to do. This is a CJ Brady pattern. I think it's called something like Breathe Easy or something like that. I can put the name in the description box below. But this is her latest pattern, and I saw it was made with tweeds. And for some reason lately, I've become very, I don't know, attracted, drawn to tweeds. And I really wanted to make it. Now, I had some tweeds I showed you earlier that were pink and purple, and somehow that just didn't work in my mind for that picture. So I ordered these, and I want to show them to you. I got them off of Etsy. I have dealt with this seller before. She sends you individual yarn in a vacuum sealed pack. So she only charges something like $4 or $5 to send you a skein of yarn. And she had tweeds in several colors. And after getting this one, this brown with the multicolor in it as well, I really like it. And she has a green tweed like this. I think she has a navy one, and she has one that's red burgundy. Does she have a black one? I'm not sure. I'm probably going to order maybe the green one. We'll see how this works up. It feels very, very nice. It is 85% wool and 15% nylon, and there's 100 grams, 438 yards. So I'm going to use these two for that pattern I showed you just a moment ago from CJ Brady. Now, will it get done before the end of the year? I'd really like to do it. I'm itching to do it. But as you know, I'm trying to get as many of these shawls done as possible before Christmas. But I'm sure we'll have to deliver them by the middle of December, so maybe after that. Because that's a 2.5 day project, so it wouldn't take me long. The website, and I will link the Etsy store down below, but I see now she has actually started her own website. It was Fiber Arts, I think, was the name of her Etsy shop. And it's Canadian. She's in BC. So anyway, that's the only real acquisition I wanted to show you this week. By the way, you remember me just last week or the week before showing you my Jimmy Bean mystery bags, and it turns out I've become an enabler because Heather, who is in Ontario somewhere, Heather's Knits, I think it's called, she ordered some, and Gary from Urban Yarns, who's in BC, he ordered some, and they both said it was because they'd seen me with it. Now, I have, I'm really excited about this. I could hardly wait to show you. I do have another acquisition that I am going to show you, but I'm not going to show you. I received in the mail, I think it was at the very end of last week, a box from the UK. And I thought, I haven't ordered from the UK. What is this? And then once I started to open it, I realized what it was. The box came like this. I have ordered 3 advent calendars that I'll be sharing with you in December. So we're going to see lots of yarn in December. Well, it came in this nice box that opens up like this. And inside it was like this, another box. So I'll take that box out, all wrapped in black tissue paper. I'll take the tissue paper off. This is probably the classiest shipment I have ever received. Here it is, a nice, quite hard box. It says Yarn Unique, which is the name of the company on it. It's tied here, and if you untie it, don't worry, it's okay. It has this nice flap that's kind of magnetic that opens up inside. It's packed like this, and this is like a vellum kind of thing, and basically it's a thank you for choosing their yarn for the advent calendar, hoping we enjoy it. And please share, and you know I will be sharing it, and tag them and so on. So that doesn't have to go back. So here they are. This one is a little different. It's all 25 minis, and you can see the corner of one sticking out there, so we're going to get a really nice green one. They are all wrapped in black tissue, and they are all numbered, ready to go. And I happen to know that this particular, wishing you a yarny Christmas, I happen to know this particular set are all sparkly. So I'm really going to enjoy opening this one up and seeing what we get. 25 minis. The other ones I ordered, I believe, are 24 minis and 1 full hank. But this one is 25 minis. So I'm just going to put these back in here. And I can't wait now. This one came nice and early. And I'm going to tie it back up. And I'm going to put it in a corner out of the way until December the 1st. And December the 1st happens to be a Thursday. And we will start opening it up. And in fact, it's only 3 weeks away. 2 weeks from now, those of you in the U.S. will be celebrating Thanksgiving. And the following week is, it must have sat in something sticky. The following week, we will start to open this. And I'll be opening the very first day. And then once a week, I'll open 7 days at once. So I'm really excited to dig into this. And I haven't received the other 2 yet. I'll tell you more about them as they arrive. But this was, I thought, so classy, so well done the way they packaged it. So something for us to look forward to. All right, so now that brings us to whips. And you'll be surprised that I actually have 2 whips this week, because I don't generally have more than one on the go. So the first one, which if I'd had another day, half a day, I would have finished it. I am making it out of Mandala bonus bundle. I had to make an order from Yarn Canada, and to get free shipping, I was just short of the free shipping. So I thought, oh, I'll order one of these. I've never used one, and I can make a shawl with it, because the bonus bundle has 1,181 yards in it, so I won't even need the whole thing. It's 100% acrylic. There's a picture of what the cake would look like. Mine did not come wound that way. It had pink in the middle and the blue on the outside edge. So here is what I have of the cake. And I have to tell you, I am sort of color controlling, because the very outside of this cake had some blue, but what really bothered me is the very last color was purple, and it was wound so that you could see through to the blue underneath. So you know there was very little purple. And I knew I wasn't going to be using this whole cake. It's way bigger than what would make a shawl. And I did not want to miss out on the blue and purple at the end. And even if I got to the end, the purple wouldn't even make one round. It was so little. So I started at the outside, did the purple and blue and teal, I guess, or green. Then I stopped and I jumped to the middle because it had pinks there. And I'm going to go as far as I need to, probably the orange, and that will finish it up. So here's a sneak peek at what I am working on. It is a shawl, and I won't give you all the particulars. I'm just showing, see, there's that little bit of purple. And then I did the greens and the pinks. And now I'm just starting the orange. And I'll probably finish it up tonight. Too late to show you. And I'll talk about it next week. I'll talk about it more next week. I am using a 5.5. It says to use a 5, but Fiber Spiders tutorial said to use a 6. So I compromised and used a 5.5. And I'll show you this finished object next week. So we'll just put that aside for now. And one more whip. Now, I don't usually have too often several things on the go. I start a pattern project and I finish it and I work until it's done, unless it's one of those things that I really don't like and I put it aside, or I get really, really tired and I put it aside. And that happens sometimes. But when I put it aside, it's put aside and not looked at for maybe forever or months and months or a year later. But I decided to start this other project, and I'll tell you why. If any of you follow, and you all should probably follow Expression Fiber Arts. I am not affiliated to Furls Hooks. I'm not affiliated to Fiber Arts, Expression Fiber Arts. I call them EFA. I just talk about the things I really like, enjoy, and believe in. Now, I think everybody should be on the mailing list of Expression Fiber Arts, mostly because every Friday they give away, or they have available, a free pattern, and they alternate between crochet and knitting. So there's something there for everyone. And in fact, knitters, they do way more for knitters than they do for crocheters, but they try to alternate. And last week they showed an Afghan, and I am not an Afghan person. At one time I made Afghans, made many, and I got tired of them. And I don't have a need for Afghans. What am I going to do with them? But they showed a really beautiful Afghan last Friday, and she showed it in her video again on Facebook this week. And it was made with their new bamboo alpaca, and they marled two colors together, and they made all these granny squares, and then they put them together with a very unique joining method, which she does a video on. And I have no need for another Afghan. I should show you the big one I have in my living room. Anyhow, my thinking was, but I could still make squares and put them together to make something else. A lot of people use granny squares to make sweaters, ponchos, all kinds of things. And what I'm going to do is put them together as if I were making a cocoon, and then seam it in the proper place. And I thought it would make a little lighter cocoon than this. This is kind of warm. Scarfie is a number 5, and it has wool in it. Now, I did not want to buy a whole lot of bamboo alpaca. I had 1 or 2 skeins in the house, and I took a look at it, and I realized that it felt a lot like my I think it's called blossom fingering. And blossom fingering was the same weight. They're both fingering, but you know it can vary from one to one, from one to another. And it had 50% viscose bamboo, 30% merino, and 20% lyocell. So alpaca instead of merino, but the rest was bamboo and lyocell, which are very similar. I got the two skeins side by side. They have the same texture, about the same weight. And I said, you know what? This is a way to use my bamboo, because I didn't know what I was going to do with all this blossom fingering. So I got out a bunch of colors. They say 20 colors. I won't be using 20. And you marled two together. So I started with these three. I have another three caked up upstairs, and I'll put them together. And I started to combine them. I've done 2 squares of this. I've done 1 square of this. I have another one to do. And then I'll do 2 squares of this. And then I'll move on to the other colors. So here, 2 squares. And it feels very nice. And there's the one I did of the other combination. But my thinking was this: oftentimes at night, I'm kind of tired of what I have been working on all day, or I get tired of if I'm doing a big shawl, I get tired of it and need a break. And when I take a break, I waste my time. And I thought having something simple like a granny square would be a way that I could take a break from the pattern that's bothering me, or I need to get away from, or maybe I have to really be concentrating, and you don't have to concentrate on a granny square. Although I will tell you, they make this granny square a little different. They do the joins at the side, not in the point, which is supposed to give it a better structure, since a blanket would take a lot of, pulling and tugging. So I thought, I'm just going to have these colors and make granny squares when I feel like it, when I need a break, or if I sit down and only have half an hour, it'd be easier to pick up a granny square and work on it. And so this is a work in progress. That's going to be a work in progress for, I think, a fair while, maybe 6 months. I will show you progress as I go. It does feel very nice. It's going to make me a lighter weight cocoon for the summer months when I want to put something on. So I'm working, and it's using a 5.0, one of my beautiful sparkly furls hooks. So that's going to be a work in progress, definitely. Something that I'm working on, I'm going to be done this week, is hardly a whip to me. It's just my current project. But this is definitely going to be a work in progress over, I don't know, 6 months maybe, depending on if I stick with it or I keep putting it aside. So that brings us to the end of today. Again, took longer than I expected, but I think I've got you caught up on a lot of things. And I got some yarn acquisitions. So next week, I won't have as much show and tell, and I'll have a little more yarn acquisitions. Maybe by next week, I'll have received another one of my advent calendars. And it's better they come late, because then I'm not tempted to look at them. But I hope you're having some of the great weather we've had here lately. And I hope you've been getting lots of great stitching done. And like I said, next week we will move on with our game shawl. And I'll show you this shawl that I am working on at the moment. And I think I'll have another shawl done by then. And I might take a break and do something different than a shawl. We'll see during the week. So until next week, when we see you all again, I hope, happy hooking.